it's going to affect and how it's related to the young people. And not about the symptoms, which you can find in the internet. So, right now I'm going to tell you why it's relating to us, young people. Like, most of the audience, I can see that from your face that you're pretty young now. And so, let's begin from the stroke. What is a stroke itself? It's a medical condition in which the reduced blood flow to the brain vessels can damage the brain cells. And there are numerous ways it can damage, through the blocking the arteries, through the bleeding, and etc. In Kazakhstan, this medical condition is a #1 cause of the death, especially among women. And each year we have around 50,000 cases, new cases of the stroke. Probably you're going to tell me that, okay, Almat, I can see that, but it's related only to elderly people. It's not mine. But I'm going to disabuse you from that idea, because you can see here that 3,000 and 5,000 new cases among young patients. And this group called cryptogenic stroke. And by young patient, what I mean that this patient, they didn't have the real cause, like high blood pressure. They didn't have the signs of the diabetes or atherosclerosis. So they were healthy people, and one day they woke up and they had a stroke. If you're still not convinced that a stroke can occur among youth and young people, I'll tell you that the 3,000 or 5,000 patients is enough to fill in the entire hospital, city hospital here in Astana, and keep it busy working for the entire year. Still not convinced? Then I'll tell you another story. In the late 80s and early 90s, there was a breakthrough discovery in the cardiosurgery field. It came from pathologists from UK. The pathologists led by Overall, they compared two groups of hearts. Hearts from people who died from the cryptogenic stroke, young people, and the hearts of the people who died from different kind of diseases, not related to cryptogenic stroke. And what they noticed that there was a kind of structure in the heart called patent foramen valley that was 4 times or 5 times as likely to appear among young people who died from the stroke. You can see it here from this graph. Different studies showed even more, like there are more association between this patent foramen valley and the cryptogenic stroke among youth. So now, why should I convince you that the stroke actually it's also common among young people? Because patent foramen valley itself, let's see the anatomy. It's very common. It's common. It appears in 1 out of 5 people. Can you imagine that? In 1 out of 5 people, they have this condition, this kind of structure, patent foramen valley. And patent foramen valley, it usually doesn't have any kind of symptoms. It doesn't affect your heart rate, how heart works. And you can live with this condition for your entire life without realizing that you have it. It dies from different causes. You'll be fine. But now you can ask me, well, Almat, I see that there is patent foramen valley, something in your heart, but how it relates to our mind, to the brain, to the stroke? And the answer is simple. The blood clots, usually they form in the right side of the heart where the vein artery is coming from. And this patent foramen valley can serve as a gateway for blood clots in 2 ways. First of all, its anatomy. It reminds like a tunnel with a valve from one side. And it's actually ideal place for forming blood clots. Do you know what the blood clots? Just and it goes to the left atrium, to the left ventricle, and then through the aorta damages the brain vessels. Or another pathway is that the blood clot can actually, usually the ones that being introduced through the vein, they usually filter away by our lungs. And since we have this kind of structure like a pattern foramen valley, it can bypass the lungs and right through the body, come to the body. And that's why I believe that since we have this common feature like a pattern foramen valley, as a young people here, we should be aware of the symptoms, at least the symptoms of the stroke. Google it, search for it. If you have that kind of the symptoms of the stroke, it's going to be a lifesaver for you to call the doctor, to call the ambulance, because you are not immune from the stroke. If any kind of takeaway, if anything you learn from that presentation is that even though we are young people, even though we are healthy people, no signs of high blood pressure, nothing. But all of a sudden, one day you wake up and something is going on with your mind, your brain. Call the doctor. Save your life. Thank you very much.